Hey, it's Tom, and today we have a care video for the shark fin, otherwise known as the whale fin snake plant. So thank you very much for tuning in today. It's been absolutely ages since I filmed a YouTube video, and I thought it's a rainy afternoon, got my cup of tea, growing a moustache, and I'm ready to talk about a plant. So I noticed this one in the corner of my living room, and I thought, this is the plant. I want to talk about this one today. So let's talk a little bit about it. The whale fin snake plant. Now, it's kind of an interesting house plant because it's very common. When you think about it, snake plants are very common plants, and everyone's heard of them, everyone's seen them before. But the whale fin is a little bit different to all the others, and it's quite distinctive because the leaves are incredibly wide compared to most snake plants. It grows, the conditions which we're going to get onto, the care tips and all that stuff, we're going to get onto that soon, is very, very similar. In fact, it's practically identical, but it's the growth that appeals to people. It looks very different to what you would expect. So we've got the wide leaves, we have the tinge of red on the outside of the leaf, and also the familiar mottled sort of green on the leaves as well. Now, it's very common just to find one leaf, okay, and that's it. So you've got the one leaf, and it looks great. It does look good just as a standalone. Whereas any other snake plant, it doesn't. It looks a little bit naff, basically. So you want the clustering of the leaves. But with the whale fin, just one leaf is usually quite impressive by itself. But I would suggest maybe a lot of people who have that one leaf want to turn it into a bigger plant, a bit like what's happened to mine. It did start off as one leaf, and now it's lots of leaves. So I'm going to tell you how I did this and how long it's taken. So just to get you knowledgeable about the topic. Let's get going. Okay, so the snake plant, as general house plant, is well known to be able to cope with any light levels, and the whale fin is no different. It will cope with full sun, it will cope with practically no light. However, there are things to be aware of and potential risks if you go for one of the extreme levels. Ideally, what you want to do is give it a nice bright location without too much harsh sunlight, and try and keep it away from low light if you can, to avoid to help it to grow. Basically, if you keep it in a low light location, it will not grow. I cannot stress this enough. This plant will not grow if it's too dark. It's that simple. If it's too bright, you may end up with scorch marks, which is what's happened to mine. Unfortunately, the sun was too bright and it burnt it. Now, some people will grow theirs in full sun and they don't have any issues. I believe the plant can be acclimatized to that type of light and it will do fine, but you'll need to gradually get used to it to avoid this happening, because otherwise it will happen. And like I said, avoid the low light, but somewhere medium is what you want. A good bright location, some sun, a couple of hours a day is probably going to be absolutely fine too. And generally, the more light you give it, the quicker it's going to grow. And these plants grow slow. They grow slowly. So you want to give it the best chance you can to get that growth and new leaves to appear. Okay, let's talk watering. So this bad boy does not need to be watered that often. And if you do, you're going to overwater it and it's going to go yellow and it's going to rot and you're going to have no plant left of it at the end of it. Do not overwater these plants. I cannot stress that enough. Right. It's not a true cacti, so it does need some water, but it will cope for months with no watering and it'll be fine. But for optimal conditions and optimal growing situations, you probably need to water it. Well, I won't give you the timescales because I don't know your growing conditions. However, on my website, I built a little quiz where you can input your growing conditions. It asks you some basic questions. Put the details in. It's really quick, it's free, everything, and then it will give you a rough idea of how often you should be looking to maybe water these plants. Now, when I built the calculator, it was for more of the more popular, sort of more general snake plants, like the mother-in-law's tongue, those type of ones, which have a lot more leaves. This plant only has maybe one, maybe two leaves. I don't know. You might have just got this plant. You may not have very much going at the moment. With that in mind, whatever you see on the quiz, whatever the results tell you, if you decide to do it, add an extra week on top. One or two leaves are not going to consume as much water as a plant which is fully bushy and loads of leaves. Okay, so add on those extra weeks. That's really important. Now, if you don't want to do the quiz, if you just can't be bothered with that, then as a rough guide, give it a gentle watering and then wait until it's completely dry before you water it again. And when it's dry, There's no hurry, okay? So you could wait a week, maybe 2, before you actually water it again. Do not give it heavy soaks. Do not absolutely drench the soil, which a lot of people suggest you do. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's too much. You might get away with it in certain circumstances, but I do not recommend it. So a gentle watering, just enough to saturate, just enough to make the soil moist. Do not make it wet. Otherwise, it will take too long to dry out with those small number of leaves, and you're going to have problems. If you have a plant that has lots of leaves and is quite a small container, you may get away with doing it a little bit more frequently. But if you're just dealing with 1 or 2 leaves, do not water it that much. I think I've only repotted this plant once. They don't need frequent repotting. I'm trying to think back, and I can only remember doing it once, and I remember taking it out, and yeah, once in 5 years. Now, what you should do is when it fills its container, when there's no space, when there is no more soil area for new growth to come out, that's when I would repot these. So I still have space. I will not look to repot this plant now until it's full. There's no point. There's just no point in repotting it. Why am I repotting it for? What's the purpose? There's still gaps. There's still space. New shoots next year should come out in the available space that's left. So there's no immediate hurry to repot these plants. Obviously, if there was maybe a pest issue or the soil was just not holding water or had broken down completely, I might look to repot at that point. But I usually use reasonably good quality stuff. It doesn't tend to happen for years and years and years. So I cannot see me repotting this houseplant for another year or 2 at least. So rather than go by fixed schedules and go by a certain amount of years, look to repot it when there is no more space where new shoots could come up. That's when you probably want to be thinking about doing it. In terms of the potting mix, what you want to use, it is the classic, something you've probably heard everywhere you look if you hear about houseplants, which is the classic well-draining soil or free-draining compost, something like that. You don't want heavy, like I said right at the start of this video when I was talking about watering, you don't want loads of water to be held around the roots. It's too much. You're just going to get the plant into a difficult situation. I always feel like I sort of go on a bit, so I'm sorry about that. I'm going to keep it short. The next part's just really to the point. So humidity, you do not need to worry about it, okay? Forget it. Nothing to worry about with humidity. As for the temperature levels, there probably isn't really a temperature in your home that this plant will not be happy in. Because if you're in the home, you're going to be happy. You're not going to live in a ridiculously hot location where you literally are just, it's not going to be that hot, is it? And equally, it's not going to be so cold you're freezing. Avoid those extremes. So that would mean if it's outside of your house, say in your garden, and you live in a region that has cold winters, you'll need to bring it into the house before it gets too cold. It does not need much feeding, okay? Do not overfeed these plants. So maybe once, twice, possibly 3 times a year, using everyday houseplant feed is enough. You can use a feed that's specifically designed for succulents or cacti. That would be fine as well. I don't remember. I think I might link to a possible... Yeah, I'll link to the feed that I use in the description below, so you can check it out if you'd like. It's just an idea, but you don't have to use what I use. You don't have to copy me exactly. But if you're interested, if you're not sure where to start, then maybe start there. Okay, let's talk about the speed of growth. So right at the start of this video, I said I'll tell you how long I've been growing this plant for. And I've had him about 5 years, maybe. It's taken a long time, okay? And you might not even be looking at it thinking that's that impressive, but I can't tell you how slow they are. Now, I don't grow it in optimal conditions. It's not in the brightest location. So it is probably a little bit slower, but equally, they just don't grow that fast. And now, even if the conditions are absolutely spot on, you're only going to probably get 1, maybe 2, or possibly 3 new leaves each year. That's normal. You're unlikely to get more than that. So I have 3 on the go at the moment, and that's what drew my eye. I decided to do a care video. I saw them popping up, and it's always a nice sight to see with these because they don't do much most of the year. They just don't do anything. The leaf comes out, it gets to its full size, and it stops. It won't grow any taller. And then it just pauses. So you could end up with maybe 9 months of the year where nothing happens with these plants. And then fast forward another 9 months and bang, out comes some more young shoots, which are really nice to see because it means it's healthy and it's good. But like I said to you, 1, 2, and in my case, 3 new shoots. That's it. That's all I'm going to get this year, and I accept that. So that's why it's taken so long to get to this size because it's such a small number of growth points. Now, you can obviously increase your chances and make sure you get healthier leaves and bigger leaves by giving it good light, water it as best as you can, and obviously keep it warm. And those type of things will encourage the leaves that do come up to be the best possible leaves they can be. And that's what you want. All right, so usually at this stage of the video, which I'm starting to wrap up because I'm conscious of the time, I talk about problems and issues. However, I've talked about them as I've gone through this video. I don't have anything else to talk about. So I will suggest to you, if you have an issue, if you have a problem or anything like that, just hit me up. Comment below. Let me know. And I will do my best to advise. If I've come across it and I've forgotten, I will comment. If you see my other videos, you'll notice I try and do that as much as possible. I get comments saying, this is an old video. Are you still watching? Yes, I am. I still look at the comments. I still do my best to respond. So just leave a comment. If that's not good enough, you have a more generic question, I have a specific article for snake plants on my website. You are welcome to come along and leave some comments, and other people may come and help you as well. So it's a great resource. And that's it for this video. I hope it's been helpful. It's been fun. I've enjoyed filming after a little break, so maybe I'll do some more soon. But if there's any specific houseplants you want me to cover, just let me know. But as I always say, and I genuinely mean this, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I shall see you in the next video.